So we're looking smart today. That's because it's one of my big 3 end of the year videos. It's not my ranking of my worst to best movies of the year. It's not my ranking of my top 10 best. Today, very exciting, we're going over the top 10 worst films of the year. So hello, and yes, welcome back to another video, guys. Now that's right, today wanted to make this one a bit more special. We're going to be going over my top 10 least favourite movies of the year. Don't forget, guys, this is just my opinion. This is not set in stone, but hey, this is for what at the minute stands as my top 10 least favourite movies of 2020. So without further ado, let's get started on with the list. So coming in at number 10 is, of course, Mank. Oh, wait. No, we're doing worst films, aren't we? Yeah, not best, worst. Okay. So coming in at number 10 is Scoob. Yep, this movie here, this film for me sums up everything that I really, truly hate about Hollywood today. The fact that before they've even made their first movie, they're already trying to set up a cinematic universe because they're like, hey, let's do what Marvel done. Let's do some of that. Am I right? And while there are a lot of the original voice actors from the incredible original Scooby-Doo show are still here with us, and even from the not as good animated TV show happened in recent years, they decided to go get all these A-list actors to voice characters, and half of them do not line up with what these characters should sound like. The only one that maybe did was maybe Zac Efron was maybe okay as Fred, I think. But the one who voiced Velma was just didn't sound like her at all. Scooby-Doo to me is always, there's a villain and you unmask them, and it's a simple story like that. That's all I look for with Scooby-Doo. But here we are, they've teamed up with this other bunch of characters from the same sort of universe who I was not familiar with, and they're doing this big grand epic thing, and I just didn't really care for it. I thought it was really silly. It's not what I wanted. It's not what this movie was really marketed to me as. I thought this was going to be a proper Scooby-Doo film, but then we got this sloppy piece of mess, and yeah, I really don't like the film. Coming in 9th place is, of course, the movie Rebecca. Now, this film might not have made my top 10 list. I strictly blame Netflix for this movie because they marketed this film as a big deal. This was like, oh, we've got a big film coming out. Look at this. This is going to be really good. The trailers look kind of cool. And I was like, you know what? You've got my attention, Netflix. And then I watched it, and this film sucked, like, really bad. It was so long, drawn out, and boring. This film had a real identity crisis, which is baffling to me because it is based off another film. There is a Rebecca film that's already been made. I believe it was the 60s it was made. But this film has such an identity crisis. One minute it's a love film, then it's a crime, then it's got some horror elements in it. This film has such an identity crisis, and at the same time manages to be so boring, like so unbelievably boring, while being this drawn out, winded mess. It makes no sense how this film managed to do all these things, and none of the things it was doing was good. So Rebecca comes in 9th place. So that's right, the 8th place spot is going to Greyhound. Yeah, wow. I was looking forward to this movie. I love war films. I love Tom Hanks. Put the two together. Well, hey, I think it's only ever been done once with Saving Private Ryan, and that was a really good time. Now, the warning sign should have gone up pretty quick because this was one of the first films which was meant to go to the cinema and was taken and put on a streaming service. This was one of the first ones where they were like, Apple, you can have this one, Apple. So there was some very early warning signs, and I still kept my hopes up. I thought, you know what, a lot of films are starting to do this. Maybe it'll still be good. But Greyhound is one of the most boring films I've ever watched. There is barely anything that happens in it. The characters are all planks of wood. The CGI is just kind of funny at times. The boats are doing some things which I know boats can't do, and it was kind of laughable. And 90% of this film, they speak in boat language, like turn the boat starboard, 17 notches, and it's like, I don't know what this means, you're just talking boat language, and then I'm seeing a giant CGI boat, which doesn't look good, turn slightly in the water. And I have to bring up the scene where the missile scrapes the boat, and it's like, yeah, Greyhound was so dull and boring. Coming in 7th place is Fantasy Island. This film's kind of funny. You know what? I actually don't hate this film as much as maybe the 3 I've just spoken about. I just know that this is probably a worse film because, again, this is a big... this one actually went to cinema. This was right at the start of the year. This film had a budget. It had a good team behind it. And there were some good actors in this movie. What this movie struggled to do was come up with a good plot and a good script, because the plot and the script were hilariously bad. The script, for a start, some of the things that characters were saying and coming out with were baffling to me. Like, the situations that these people are in, it's a horror. These people should be terrified out of their lives at times, and some of them start cracking jokes, and it's like, no. And there's a plot twist in this one at the end, which, number one, backfires on the film because it makes no sense, and the plot twist is very predictable, I think. And it's hilarious. It's hilarious. The end of the film comes so sudden as well, and it's like, oh, okay, it's over. What was the point of this movie? Coming in 6th place is Doolittle. Oh, I feel so bad for Robert Downey Jr. This is not the role he signed up for. It's not. We all know Robert Downey. He signed up for a much better film than this, because originally it was called The Voyager. The Voyages of Dr. Doolittle, I think. And you see the cast behind this movie, you're like, they're going for it. They're like, right, Robert Downey's first film after Endgame, after his exit from the MCU, we got to go big. We got to go top shelf for this guy. We want him to continue being this huge superstar without the role of Iron Man, and unfortunately, they messed it up. This film is a total mess. The story, for a start, is it's just not a good enough story to go. It feels like a TV movie in terms of plot. The script for this film is hilarious. Some of the things that Robert Downey is saying to the animals is cringeworthy as hell. Also, Robert Downey, what accent was that? I believe it was meant to be Welsh, but then I feel like you were dipping in and out of other accents constantly, and it was a mess. The voice acting as well was very all over the place. Like, there, Tom Holland, for example, a very young actor, and obviously he still sounds very young, voicing a really old-looking shaggy dog with glasses, and it just didn't pair up at all. And it was a really strange combination, one which I was just, I couldn't get on board with it. I was like, I don't. And a lot of the animals are like that. The voice actors just do not match up. They've just got these actors because they're big names at the minute, and it just doesn't work well. There's also, even though I thought Dr. Doolittle was just simply a guy who talked to animals, there's a dragon in this, and the dragon has a joke. It's like a farting joke, and it goes on for so long, and it's like, we are really scraping the bottom of the barrel here, folks, aren't we? We're really scraping. Coming in at number 5 is a Disney Plus original. This is Timmy Failure. Timmy Failure. You know, this film is aimed at real young kids, so it's I probably shouldn't be as harsh on it as I'm gonna be, but I didn't really understand this film too much. It was, you know, it's about this kid going about his day-to-day his day-to-day life, I guess. And for some reason, there's a polar bear in the background all the time. It's never really explained why the polar bear's there, or how the polar bear's there. I don't know if it's real or if it's in his imagination. I'm guessing it's in his imagination, but then occasionally someone will make a reference to it, and I'm like, so is the polar bear there? And again, just the script for this movie was diabolical. I'm not sure how this film got off the ground, but yeah, Timmy Failure exists. Number 4 is going to Bloodshot. This is a film which I watched when it went up to streaming. I know it went to the cinema for a very brief period of time. I'm really, really pleased I didn't go to see this film in the cinema. This film was terrible. I'm not sure how some people enjoyed it. Probably because, oh, there's some action and the action's fun. Even the action was boring. The choreography was just bleh. Vin Diesel is one of the most uncharismatic actors ever. He's so boring in most of his roles, and this film's a great example. He's so boring in this film. He's like a plank of wood. I didn't care about any of the side characters. This was just, it felt like a Transformers movie is what it felt like. Hey, let's just put an actor here and we're not going to give him anything to work with. We'll just let him do whatever he wants. We'll put loads of CGI things on the screen to make the film look messy. But some people like that. They're like, big budget, lots of money gone into this. Oh, look, there's lots of CGI things happening. It's fast-paced. That's good enough for me. We won't put any effort into the story. We'll make the film super long as well. It's like 2.5 hours. I was so happy when it ended. And yeah, the film is just... I'd rather watch competent action films like Wonder Woman 1984, Birds of Prey, and any of the Transformers films other than maybe the 5th one to this, because there's no soul or charismatic energy behind this. It's a product of Hollywood, and it's boring and it's bad. That's right, coming in at number 3 is Babysitter Killer Queen. Now, the director of this, I forget his name, but he truly is one of the worst directors going at the minute. I didn't mind the first Babysitter film. I didn't hate it like some people. You know, if you take it for what it is, it's not a good movie, but it's kind of fun. But it's a film which should have been left alone. No one wanted a sequel to it. No one did. No one was asking for a sequel. But hey, Netflix made it. And here we have Babysitter Killer Queen. That's right. They've taken that fantastic song down with this movie. This film is hilariously bad. Like, it's really funny how bad this movie is. Because I'm not sure if at any point someone maybe pulled the director aside or the writers and went, this is truly terrible what's happening here. Maybe we should rewrite this or redo this bit. No, this film actually got released. There are some incredibly hilarious shots in it. The script, for a start, this is the worst script I've seen from a movie this year, I think. This script is hilarious. This film looks like a high-budget YouTube movie. It looks terrible. The lighting is awful. The actors are terrible in this movie. They are all doing a terrible job. The lead guy is just boring, and I don't believe anything he's saying. But I gotta bring up Bella Ford, who's in this movie. I know she's terrible, but I think she maybe gives the worst performance she's ever given in this one. And look at the scene where her head comes off. The CGI on it, hilarious. There's a little twist. There's a twist in this movie, which I found incredibly predictable, and it takes away from the first one, if there's anything to really be taken away. Yeah, this film is hilariously bad. I tell you what, though, you can probably have quite a few good drinking games to this movie. Every time something shit happens, take a shot. Yeah, you'd be very drunk within the first 10 minutes. Number 2 is The Kissing Booth 2. Now, yeah, I know, why have I even included this movie? What's the point of even talking about this? You can just tell from the title, The Kissing Booth. The first one, I will say, had a bit of a charm to it, where it was like, it was so bad, it was funny, and it was one that me and my mates, when I'd go to visit my mates at university, It's a film that would always go on when we were pre-drinking before we'd go out somewhere. Why? Because it's hilarious. It's so bad, it's funny. The dialogue is incredible. Some of the things they say, like one of the rules in the first movie was, if you and your best friend have had an argument, or if your best friend's done something wrong, buy them ice cream and they have to forgive you. So it's like, okay, I'll just go murder someone and they can get pissed off, but if I buy them ice cream, then it's all good. There are just things that come out like that where you really have to laugh at it. The second one, now they're self-aware of what they're making, and they've tried to ramp it up and make it even more stupid than what it is, and it doesn't work as well. It's like the Sharknado films. The first one, they were trying, and it was so funny how bad it was. And then the next ones, they knew what they made, and they kind of tried to recreate that, and it doesn't work as well. And I don't know, The Kissing Booth 2, I found this film more boring than anything. There are a couple moments that I found funny. There are a couple scenes where it's like, okay, yeah, that was really, really stupid. But, you know, at the end of the day, this film is absolutely awful. I feel bad because there are a couple good actors in it. For example, I know the lead actress, Joey King, she can act. She's been in some really good stuff. But, you know, this film is just filled with terrible dialogue, and again, it's half an hour too long. It really is. This film went on far too long, yeah, becoming self-aware is not always the best thing for these bad movies. Coming in at number 1, what is the worst movie of the year for me? It is Artemis Fowl. Yeah, Disney Plus. Well done. This was going to go to cinema. I would have loved for this to have gone to cinema. I would have loved to have seen the reaction it would have got if it went to cinema. Because, let's face it, it would have been a lot more interesting. Because people would have paid to seen it. But yeah, no, they didn't pay to see it. They watched it on Disney Plus, thankfully. And they didn't charge you like they did for Mulan. We got this one for free. So we got to be grateful for that. This film, you know, is based off books. Artemis Fowl. I hear people like the books are furious because this film tries to do something from the second book in this one as well. It crams it all in. I think it's to do with Colin Farrell's character. I didn't know what to expect from this film because from the trailers, I could see that the CGI did not look good. It just looked like it was going to be a bit of a messy film. But what we got here was something truly special. This is the biggest mess of the year. This is the messiest movie of 2020. There's nothing you can say that will change my mind there. There's been some messy movies that I haven't even talked about here today. Hubie Halloween, Birds of Prey. You know, these are messy movies. But there are none that are like this. This is on another level. You've got all these huge actors and none of them are given anything to do. Judi Dench sounds like a chain smoker. What on earth they got Josh Gad to do in this one? Doesn't he eat sand and then shoot it out of his arse or something? That's the level we're at here. The lead actor was not good, and Artemis Fowl himself was very unlikable. Colin Farrell was just not in this movie at all, which is a shame because he's fantastic. Yeah, this film, there's no pacing, there's no structure to it. It's just one thing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing else, CGI mess, nothing happens, nothing, CGI mess, nothing happens, nothing, and that's how the film goes. There's no, let's slow down, let's do a bit of character development, let's try and catch everyone up where we are in the story. It's like, no, keep happening, keep happening, keep happening. We don't have time to develop characters, keep making things happen, throw some CGI stuff in there. Come on, Disney, throw your money in, come on. Oh, here comes Judi Dench. Make things happen, make things happen, make things happen. This film is awful. It's truly, truly, truly terrible. And that is why Artemis Fowl is, for me, the worst movie of 2020. Now, a lot of you guys are going to be saying, you've missed out some other films. There were some other bad films this year. I mentioned another one, Hubie Halloween, Ava. We've got a lot of other bad movies in 2020. And if you want to see how far off missing out on my top 10 they were, I'll be doing a video at the end of the week where I rank all of the 69... Yeah, laugh it up, Fuzzball. All of the 69 films I've seen in 2020. I'm going to be ranking them all from worst to best. So we'll go from Artemis Fowl all the way through the 10 I've just talked about, all the way through everything else to my top 10. But I will be doing a video specifically on my top 10 before then as well. So here's my top 10 worst, then we're going to get my top 10 best, and then I'm just going to rank all the movies at the end. But that is it for this video, guys, as always. For me, those are the worst movies this year, without a doubt. I hope you've enjoyed it, as always. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a message, and I'll see you all next time for another video. Bye-bye.